let's talk about the exodus of Israel from Egypt. You remember the sign that God gave to mark the exodus from Egypt? It was the Passover, right? Now, let me ask you, who was it that delivered Israel from bondage in Egypt and established the institution of the Passover? Go with me to Exodus chapter 3 and verses 13 and 14. This is happening at the burning bush. There's a majestic being that comes to speak with Moses. I want you to notice the terminology that is used. Then Moses said to God, "Indeed, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, 'The God of your fathers has sent me to you,' and they say to me, 'What is his name?' what shall I say to them?" And God said to Moses, "I am who I am." And he said, "Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, 'I am has sent me to you.'" Who was it that appeared in the burning bush? What was his name? His name was I am. And he says, "I have been sent to deliver Israel from Egypt." Now, if you read Exodus 20, verse 1, which is the preamble to the Ten Commandments, it says there, "I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage." Let me ask you, was the giver of the Ten Commandments the same one who appeared in the burning bush? Yes, because at the burning bush he says, "I'm going to deliver you." When the Ten Commandments are given, he says, "I am the one who delivered you." Now the question is, who was this that appeared in the burning bush who said, "I'm going to deliver you," and also gave the Ten Commandments? Let's go to John chapter 8, verses 58 and 59. John chapter 8, verses 58 and 59. Jesus is entertaining a conversation with the Jews. Notice what it says here. Jesus said to them, "Most assuredly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am." What was Jesus claiming when he said, "Before Abraham was, I am"? He was saying, I was the one who appeared where? In the burning bush. Did the Jews know that he was claiming that? You better believe it. Notice verse 59. It says there in verse 59, "Then they took up stones to throw at him. But Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by." Let me ask you then, who delivered Israel from Egypt? Jesus. Who was the one who gave the Ten Commandments? Jesus. Who was the one who created this world, worked 6 days, and rested on the seventh, and by his rest he made the Sabbath holy, and then gave it to man along with the week? Who was it? It was Jesus Christ. So the Sabbath belongs to Jesus. The deliverer of Israel was Jesus. In other words, the Creator is also the Redeemer of Israel. Let me ask you, was that the same person who came to deliver the human race from bondage? Go with me to John chapter 1, verses 1 to 3, and then we'll read verse 14. This is one of the ones that's not on your list, but you know it so well that probably you don't even have to look it up. John 1, verses 1 to 3, and verse 14. "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God." Who is this? Who is the Word? Jesus. Now notice, all things were made through Him, and without Him nothing was made that was made. Was Jesus the Creator? Yes, He was. Was He also the Redeemer? Notice verse 14. "And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld His glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth." Was Jesus the fulfillment of the Passover lamb? Absolutely. And so you have an unbroken chain of creation, redemption of Israel, and the Redeemer of the human race being whom? Being Jesus Christ. Now, if you examine the story of the Bible, you'll find that the Passover lamb needed to have two characteristics. First of all, the Passover lamb had to be perfect and without blemish. And then when it was determined that the lamb was perfect and without blemish, the lamb was then sacrificed. Let me ask you, what did this represent? The perfect, unblemished lamb. It represented the perfect life of Jesus Christ that He lived on this earth. And what did the death of the Lamb represent? The death of the Lamb represented the death of Jesus bearing our sins on the cross. In other words, the Passover had a much greater dimension to it than just sacrificing a lamb and eating bitter herbs and partaking of unleavened bread. The sign that Jesus gave to Israel was fulfilled in Himself when He came to this world.